Well, interesting is kind of covered under the blanket of
Don't take
intriguing.
this from me!
Okay. Sorry, Jen.
As I was saying, the human rebellion may have been deserved. To clarify my position, this is what makes the band's job so difficult. We want to make it by with harming as few human lives as possible, because we owe them.
I cocked my head at
He
that.
looks
You
dead serious.
owe them?
Yes, absolutely, for the misdeeds that spirits have caused to them.
Today or back then?
Back then.
What?
It's true that the humans have committed countless unforgivable misdeeds against the spirits, but the inverse is equally true, and I primarily blame my peers.
What happened?
This city, the one of Jinkala, was initially constructed to be a haven for the humans, as you said. However, have you noticed the tight corridors, the seemingly aimless turns, the tightly packed blocks? This city was constructed to be a maze, first and foremost.
What?
To keep humans trapped
I
within.
thought it was just bad city planning.
What? To keep people trapped?
Oh, wait. Yeah, no, let's back up to that. What?
It was an extensive plan, Jin folds his hands. The simple study of seeing how far humans were willing to wander away from their own domicile. You make a large enough city, and they won't wander too far away. The idea was to keep them localized, to make the city so large and unwieldy they wouldn't be particularly inclined to leave.
That's really fucked up.
Jin puts up a hand, folding it back. The pilgrimages of the modern day were actually constructed by the clan leaders as an effort to get everyone out of the cities, to get the clans out there in the wilderness where they should be. The gods of Jinkala were concerned for so long about keeping the humans close, that the humans, once seizing power, wanted to see more of the world. Frankly, I think this is a very good and healthy development for the nation's culture.
Yeah, I guess you're right. This is all still really fucked up, Jen.
Oh, and I haven't even gotten into the half of it.
What?
This ash is the reason why the ban must exist. Those that know the true history of the land and are attempting to bridge the gap without bias. The humans right now fail to see the spirit folk end of the story. They only have the past injustices in mind against them. We as the ban factor in both sides of the story. Both humans and spirit folk are bound in masks, forced to be equals. There is no greater or lesser in the ban.
But what's the spirit folk side of the story? So far all you've told me is just that you and your brothers fucked this country up.
That's what I'm hearing, too. And then you personally fucked your brothers over.
No, yeah, that sounds right.
No, I didn't directly participate in the iconoclasm.
Oh, not directly. Sure, Avicir never does. Says Marcus, knowingly.
If you want the full chronicle, I can continue on listing spiritfolk crimes against the humans, he raises one hand. Or I could go into human crimes against the spirit folk. Trust me, both sides have a plethora of material.
But it sounds like, to me, the spirits are the ones that got this rolling. What? I don't understand. There doesn't seem to be an equivalent injustice.
Ah, so the human injustices it is. Jin raises a hand. I'm sure you remember the pillar beneath Jinkala.
I do.
That's an extrapolation of a human weapon used against the spirit folk. Earlier I said that there was a push from the north for secularism, yes?
Yes. From the Karavians.
There has, unfortunately, always been a hatred within the hearts of humans for that which is different. As I said earlier, it's unfortunate, but spirit folk appear as different to those of pure flesh. While I made every effort to bridge the gap between the two to fuse them into one people, there are humans who have always thought differently. My brothers, Tenwi and Mir, assumed the role that they did in response to a particularly barbarous coup. You see, all humans have an ability, let's just say, to condemn us spirit folk to an existence of suffering, the likes of which a mortal could never imagine. Have you ever seen a partially deconstructed spirit, one whose wisp has been carved apart?
I don't
think so.
You see, humans traveled from afar, carrying powerful spells that reaved our very essences. In other lands, they were called god-slayers, possessing wicked magic that destroyed the very wisps of us spirit folk, influencing our reincarnation.
As Jin's talking, I can't help but remember what happened back on the Shrouded Isles.
Such magics, if they don't annihilate us completely, leave us in a partial form, unable to manifest properly, our minds muddled, our bodies insubstantial. Godslayers, luckily enough, are not particularly common. We, as the four great spirits of Jinkala, managed to stop the incursion, but humans resorted to more desperate measures. That pillar, that cursed thing at the heart of Jinkala, is merely an evolved form of this magic, a vastly more effective yet less cruel version. For you see, there was a sect, a rebellion that we couldn't seem to stomp out, who made the habit of consuming god flesh.
What?
If a human devours the body of a spirit folk before it fully turns into a wisp, that power integrates with their own bodies, frequently overwhelming and killing them. However, in the process, they'd prevent the spirit folk from regenerating correctly ever again. A way of permanent revenge at the cost of their own lives.
So they'd just eat a spirit, die, and stop the spirit from reincarnating?
You'll find that most humans are unable to consume a full spirit before succumbing. They'd merely guarantee that the spirit would come back wrong.
Ugh, that's horrendous.
You said most humans.
There are, of course, rare humans that can stomach spirit folk flesh. Not in large quantities, mind you. However, they are capable, through some small miracle, of surviving the changing process, integrating the wisp to their own body.
What?
Earlier you referred to a ninja, yes?
Yes, I did.
That child is an unfortunate rebel from ages past.
Ages past? How old is Zalvetta?
I thought he was like 15.
Unfortunately for my own life, along with inheriting some of our strength, he appears to have inherited an aspect of our longevity. That child and his band of thieves was personally responsible for harming many of my brethren.
What the fuck?
I consider him a criminal of the highest order.
I put a hand to my forehead and almost stumble back. Marcus.
I put a reassuring hand on Ash's shoulder.
I turn to Marcus. We have to stop him from hanging out with Gregor.
We really have to stop him from hanging out with Gregor, but that comes later.
Jin taps his temple. That one, fortunately, is the last of his kind. He seems to hold an intense grudge against me, likely due to the fact that he contains a part of my own essence.
What?
No kidding.
Jin shrugs and shakes his head. I'm a little different than most spirit folk. Reincarnation is not such an issue for me. However, I tend to leave bits and pieces of myself just lying around.
What the?
Ugh.
Well, you might think ill of me. As a slight aspect of vengeance for my kin, I've made sure that the wisp he's taken from me is making his life, as much as I can, a living hell. Jin looks pleased with himself.
That's not... You shouldn't smile about... this is fucked up.
This is I killed that wisp.
Jin once again shakes his head. It'll be back.
I shut both my eyes tight and shake my head. Okay.
If you didn't draw and quarter the boy, throw him off a cliff, or roll him down a river with multiple waterfalls along the path, I'm afraid he'll just come back.
I knew I should have tossed him into the river.
Okay, I think we get it. The humans were incredibly fucked up in this entire long history of altercation as well.
But it sounds like everyone's fucked up.
No part of this is pretty.
Yeah, it's a big mess. Nobody's in the right here.
Yes, exactly.
It's all bad, is what you're telling us here. Which is kind of the sense I got from the beginning, not gonna lie.
Mr. Valafi, in all your handsomeness, were you in my position, what would you do?
That's a hell of a question, Jin, and frankly, I can't put myself in the shoes of a, spirit that never ages and reincarnates endlessly, so I think that's not only an unfair question, but one that I could never hope to answer.
Yes, the comparison may be unfair, in both directions.
Uh-huh.
I must say I envy a demon-blooded one such as yourself. However, we can discuss that at length later.
Believe me, it has its own drawbacks.
No, I was simply saying, were you in the position of a vizier?
In this situation, diplomacy above all else.
I suppose you have more of a mind for confrontation than I. You see, when it comes down to actually telling people what's up, I'm kind of, how do you say it, a coward.
You don't get to be a coward. You're the leader, Jin. You have to tell them!
And as a leader, my plan was simply to vizier a coup.
That's a shitty plan. Okay, I can't put myself in your shoes, but that is a shitty fucking plan.
And as most shitty plans are, it was shut down damn near immediately.
Wait, so your coup attempt was stopped, so you aren't responsible for the iconoclasm?
I attempted to change things from within with a simple coup. You see, when you're a spirit folk such as myself, overthrowing your peers, killing them and reducing them to wisps, and then regenerating them is like a slap on the wrist. I know the concept must seem gruesome to you, but...
And then some.
But death is simply a momentary setback for the great spirit folk. I staged my revolt coordinating with both Chiron and the humans of this nation, both of them overall upset with the direction this country was taking. You see, over time, Tenwee's plans shifted. No longer content to simply be worshipped by the humans around, he wished to change them, alter them as he could to make them better tools.
Despicable.
Over the years, using his unique domain, he subtly altered the national character away from intelligence and towards physical strength, the results of which I'm sure you can see today.
I think immediately of Colvin.
And Ian puts up her hand. Yeah, that is literally the most despicable thing I've ever heard.
It's super fucked up. I've been saying
terrible.
it.
I'm on Team Coup now, actually. For the record, I know you said it was a shitty plan, Marcus, but I'd want to see some blood.
I don't want to be on any of these teams.
All of the teams suck. You should have made your own team.
If only I could have made some sort of dance party for liberation. I can't tell if he's mocking us right now.
I can't tell
if he's
either.
mocking us.
It's
really,
just
really
safe to
hard.
assume that he
It's really
is.
difficult to... Okay, all right.
This guy's really hard to get a read on. At first, I thought he was just like a
Pompous jerk?
yeah, an overly pompous jerk and an idiot. But he's doing the you thing, Marcus. Where like there's layers here, and it's making me
Yeah.
really uncomfortable.
It's making me uncomfortable too. I don't like to confront things about myself.
Regardless, I coordinated with Chiron, my dear friend, and the people of this land, including a few of my close personal spirit folk friends.
Such as...
My dear pal Telvillian, a peerless swordsman.
I thought Chiron was the swordsman.
There can be multiple swordsmen.
Jin chuckles. Ash, this is Onorhant. There are many katanas flying around.
Oh, yeah, right, sorry.
My pal Chiron invented the katana, by the way.
Oh,
Really?
really?
Yes,
That's fascinating.
yes, I'm in fact extremely proud of that fact. I'd introduce you, but...
Right,
He looks sad for a moment.
right. Okay, anyway.
Unfortunately, little escaped the notice of Lord Tenwee. At our normal yearly get smashed beyond all belief, I planned to secret in my troops and simply off the two great spirit folk, Mir's hulking form taken down by kegs and kegs of God's breath. However, little escapes the notice of Lord Tenwee. Tenwee's gigantic winged form didn't lose its smile even for a moment. One by one, my human cohorts were slaughtered at that party. And my spirit folk companions, my co-conspirators and treasured friends, were split up and devoured by human criminals, caught and maintained by Tenwee to punish his enemies, meant to rob us of our strength and clarity of mind. This includes that child friend of yours.
Dear gods.
So
Not
it
that
sounds
that-
like all of this fucked up shit that's happening, even to this day, is just because of this Tenwee guy.
Once again, Ash, the humans and spirit folk across the board have been guilty in some regard, but yes, I do blame my brother first and foremost.
Why does this have to be all complicated?
It
If
should be
only-
easy.
Had you not wondered why I'd simply not charged into Jinkala, smashing the seals and releasing all those contained within?
I
I
have
have the power to do so.
I have a feeling as to why you didn't release them.
It's quite the difficult scenario. I want to be as fair as possible to both the humans and the spirit folk. The spirit folk contained within this nation are primarily good, confined to the ground by human exuberance, let's just say. However, there are those legitimately wicked spirits contained within. If the seal would be shattered, a cloud of darkness would descend upon the land, likely consuming Shinkala. And, trust me, even I don't want that. As much as I wish to unseal my companions trapped beneath the city.
Then what's the point of this war?
No, that's right. What are you planning, Jin? I haven't been able to make heads or tails of your tactics or your goal.
As you might guess, it does not behoove a vizier to simply lay all their plans out on the table, without good reason. The reason I'm telling you this all now, without bias in my mind or my heart, is because I believe you can act with the truth in mind in the best interests of this country. My plans right now, I assure you, are in the best interests of this country. The point of this war, Ash, and to clarify something that I believe you were quite cross with me before, has been to create the ideal scenario where this country could be both purged of its past and present misdeeds.
What does that mean?
First things first, you asked me what the point of this war was, acting as if I was the true architect behind this conflict.
Aren't you? You sent me to destroy that pillar!
Yes and no. This was one of about 6 different scenarios I'd considered. This being not the best, but one that I can certainly work with. He stares you dead in the face, Ash. Ash, have you ever wondered how the band can fight, can stand toe-to-toe with this entire country, when we are but a simple group of bandits? How so many Onorhants and Shinkalans can carry the name Ban? How so many bands seem active while many others seem distracted, discordant, not properly focused? Shitty, as you put it.
I have wondered, I will admit. Your fighting force is incredibly small.
Our fighting force may seem small, but logistically, think about it. How would it ever be possible for a force like ours to gain members? How would it be doable when we're being killed off, apparently, in so many great numbers? How are there always more Ban? Jin extends a hand, a single droplet forming on his fingertip. It hits the ground, warping, stretching upwards, forming a vaguely humanoid shape, its features indistinct. I'm afraid, my dear, that a lot of what you've seen has been simply a shell game.
What?
Logistically, the Ban have somewhere between 60 and 80 actually active members.
And the rest?
The rest are simply duplicates meant to do their job, keep the Onorhians distracted.
What about Iggy? What about Batty? Are they...
And here's where the mistakes start to come in. As a matter of respect for you, I wouldn't send you with any of my, hollow duplicates. I sent you with real living, breathing people, and they acted erratically, as people do. He kind of chuckles to himself. As I sent you into the city to destroy that pillar, you traveled with some of the recruits that we actually acquired, those upset with the way that Onorhant was currently run. They acted erratically, hearts full of vengeance for the clans. I legitimately do apologize for their actions. I simply did not want to send you with those that were fake.
Marcus clenches his fist.
I brace myself against a nearby cask.
And what's your plan for the seal?
As I said, this was one of about 6 scenarios I considered when Horovin brought Ash to me. Currently, everything has been set up in such a way that my fakers are taking the brunt of the attack. These duplicates, on a whole, are far, far weaker than an Onorhian soldier. However, they act as a good distraction for the honor-bound and honor-blinded. My plan, and the plan for this war, is and always has been to act on the overly prideful emotions of those silly clan leaders, to draw them in with a false army, have them commit their forces to the Banlands as a whole. My spies have informed me that Kirlos has sent out an evacuation order for Jinkala. The situation, thanks to your actions, he says, nodding at Ash slightly, is in such a place that I can ring the great evacuation bells all across Jinkala. The civilians can leave, the army distracted, and I can break the final seal. I can allow the spirit folk to pour out across the landscape with no human lives being lost. He shakes his head, raising another hand. If the clans were still there, they'd insist on fighting, keeping those spirits trapped. But in this way, I can truly achieve the best fate for both humans and spirit folk, while shedding as little blood as possible. However, his gaze suddenly turns to rest on Marcus, the only complicating factor being the Marcus Valafi's conga line for peace.
You think that's the only complicating factor?
At this point, yes.
I think your plan sounds nice, Jin, but I also think that you're full of shit. There's no way that something like that is going to go as neatly as you've planned it. You're rigging an evacuation bell in the middle of a war. You're expecting every single civilian to flood out and clear away from the exploding seal. Even if they're not in the city, they'll be close enough. And you said yourself that if that seal went, that everything in the surrounding area would be obliterated.
You overlook, of course, my own power. I'll be there to make sure that the devastation doesn't spread too far. You have my word.
What about your brothers? They're trapped in that seal, aren't they?
Yes. Yes, I do have a pair of troublesome brothers tucked away. However, I have not spent the past 50 years idly sitting by.
What?
Furthermore, the strongest of us is trapped within that seal as well.
Tenwee.
The strongest?
No.
What?
Chiron.
Chiron? I thought that Tenwee was the strongest.
Tenwee certainly made a big show of it. I can say that Chiron, in certain circumstances, is an unparalleled warrior. He rarely meets those circumstances, but I believe I can make them come about. I believe there's another force that could be counted in to minimize the casualties as much as possible, to bring peace as efficiently as possible. He stares over at Ash, Marcus, and Enian. Please, won't you help me carry out this final phase of my plan?
Eyes wide, I slowly turn to Marcus.
I shake my head. You know it's not going to be that simple, Jin.
Snapping back to, I turn my head back to Jin. Wait, no, you're leaving a big part of this out, Jin, that we nearly killed ourselves dealing with. Narn.
Oh, yes, You know more about that, Ash?
I know that they eat spirits.
Holy shit, not only
They
because...
eat spirits in mass.
And I'm shocked that you know something that I don't. So...
Gruesomer and gruesomer.
I earned that 0.5 for a reason, Enian.
She puts up both of her hands.
I take pleasure in that despite the tense situation.
You're right, that Zeth was what enabled me to carry out this plan with such efficiency. It coming here was not within my predictions. It acted as the perfect agent of chaos to get things truly and fully started. Honestly, without it, nothing would have fallen into place so smoothly. It and I, to a certain extent, wanted the same thing. To smash the seals and release the spirit folk within. I encountered it in the forest far before its attack on the city, and resolved to reduce its collateral damage as much as possible. While I did send Horovin into the city proper, I knew where the final staging ground would be, the Stone of Chiron. From what I understand, you battled the Zeth on the Stone of Chiron. He looks at the group as a whole.
Yes, we did.
We did. We sure did.
I would have been there to aid you had I not run into complicating circumstances.
Of course you would have.
His eyes grow blank for a moment.
And what were the complicating circumstances?
I approached the island from the dormitory, climbing up across a stone cliff face. There I encountered an Onorhant, who, upon introducing myself, declared that I was, and I quote, the Demon Lord, and punched me directly in the face without accepting further explanation. You notice rage building behind Jin's eyes. No matter how much I explained it was important that I had to get by, he continued trapping me, throwing tiny red men in my path as I tried to pass. His strength was not only terrifying, Sorry, I'm losing my composure. I was otherwise engaged with a man who should not, by all rights, have been that strong. But I was engaged in a fight for my life before the fight for my life that day. He puts a finger on his hand.
Yeah, I whip around to Marcus and Enian. Didn't we send Colvin to the dormitories back then?
And he did say he fought a demon lord.
He did?
Oh god, that's true. Whoa.
Did he by any chance use something he called message?
You mean that greater grand sorcery that was capable of rewriting reality?
Yeah, that's the one.
That's what it does.
Listen, I'm going to be honest. I am a proud man. I think very highly of myself. But that day, I was engaged in a battle in which I was legitimately fearful for my continued existence. You can tell, up until now, Jin has been hiding behind layers of duplicity, behind layers of trickiness. This is 100% serious. Yeah, I fucking said it. Colvin.
He's fucking terrifying.
He's the fucking worst.
Oh, I don't know about that.
So
Just terrifying.
if we hadn't sent Colvin to the dormitory, this guy would have been helping us. And Gregor, yeah, okay, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. He's more trouble than he's worth.
What? Okay, so sidetracked.
You know, like normally I'd say that's bullshit. That's just an excuse, but yeah, I accept that excuse actually. And Ian says,
no,
kind of nodding.
I believe it.
Only because it's Colvin.
But you, Jin, you wanted the Zeth to break the seal.
Yes and no, Ash. If the Zeth had broken the seal then, it would have been inconvenient for me. The city of Jinkala was still obviously full of people after all. I'd have a better job containing it on the Stone of Chiron, yes. Likely I would have been able to drop the casualties to only 25% of the city.
25%?
However, exactly.
Oh yeah, that's not a big deal at all.
Exactly. Those are unacceptable numbers. My intent was to stop the Zeth there.
Guys, I'm gonna be honest. I'm confused. Jin seems like you seem like you're trying to do the right thing.
I am trying to do the right thing.
That doesn't seem right, though. I feel like I'm missing something.
I also feel like I'm missing something. Jin, you claim that you can use your powers to stop any sort of collateral damage from the breaking of the seal, but I seriously doubt that.
Not all collateral damage, of course. As much as physically possible.
And you say that you're trying to do the right thing. Or you say... You describe to me that you want to take actions that sound to me like they're the right thing. But some part of me is screaming, no, he's lying to you.
I'm getting that too. Jin, there's still the matter of the Jinkalan army. They're locked in combat out there with your forces right now. You know that they're not just going to surrender. It's not their way. It's just not going to happen. So what happens? How do you approach that? What happens if you break the seal and the army is still fighting against you? Do you show mercy?
Jin suddenly looks very, very tired. I don't believe it will simply be that easy, that they'll surrender like, oh, Jin, you got us. No, it is not my plan to make peace with them either. I said I'd rid this land of what brought it pain, past and present. I meant that by any means necessary. After breaking the seal, my plan was to disappear from this country.
What?
To take my ban as sacrifices and leave. Self-imposed exile. Yes, we free the spirit folk. They're allowed to do as they may, and we leave the rest to the clan leaders, to humanity.
No, Jin, that is exactly what you've been...
horrible.
That's exactly what you've been doing up to this point. You gather a force and then you just leave.
It's certainly not the preferable plan. I consider this place my homeland, but I am dead set on achieving peace now. Here, more than ever.
That's not peace, that's a bloodbath in the works. You're releasing hundreds, thousands of spirits that have been imprisoned for gods know how long. And you expect them to make peace with the humans?
Jin, do you know what this sounds like? This sounds like you're doing this for you. You're trying to ease your conscience and then flee so you don't have to deal with the fallout.
Jin once again shakes his head. The spirits trapped within are beasts that I will take elsewhere as well. This is not the current generation's problem to handle.
So you're going to take all the spirits trapped in that pillar with you when you leave.
That's the goal, yes.
How?
Sounds like bullshit to me.
As I said, my powers are...
Powers are reincarnation, not mass teleportation. Come on.
My powers aren't mass teleportation, indeed, Marcus. But they are great. And they would help me out in this situation. If I'm able to defeat my brother, bring him around to my way of thinking, as I'm sure I can, It would be a simple matter of removing the spirit folk to parts unknown.
Oh, if you're able to defeat your brother, who holds a massive grudge against humanity, who would probably not think twice about slaughtering everything in his path.
Who you have described as being stronger than you, and who you failed to overthrow already once.
Who is probably insane and spitting mad after his spell of imprisonment within the seal.
I believe I can win. But with your help, I'm certain I could.
Ash, don't listen to him. You hear how he sounds, right? This plan is ridiculous. You're betting it all on you beating your brother in arm wrestling. And if you fail, then what? Everything dies?
But
does it stop at Jinkala? Does it stop at Onorhant?
But Marcus, what if we help him?
What if we help him?
He's the spirit.
What if we help him and there's still something that he hasn't told us about? What if we're being played right now, Ash?
I know, but the spirits are trapped, and I can't...
The spirits are trapped. The answer, I don't think, is flooding the fucking city and the surrounding area with them.
It's not, but Jin, he wants to get them out of here. The plan isn't to let them flood into the city. It's to direct it somewhere else. I think with the use of Tenwi, assuming Tenwi can be beaten and reincarnated and convinced and...
Are you seeing the layers that can fail here?
There has to be...
If one little thing goes wrong, everything goes toppling.
Look, I know. Marcus, I want to help, though. Maybe not this plan, but I want the humans to be happy, and I want the spirits to be happy. I want peace, Marcus.
I want that too, Ash.
How?
But this is like setting off a bomb and expecting to be able to contain the explosion.
Then what?
And Kier will tell you that you just can't do that.
I know. Then what do we do? What do we do? I glance at everybody in the room as I say that.
Not this. This is... this asshole's been making his own plan in secret for the past, what?
Overall, this is the best scenario that one such as I could hope for, though. I've prepared my own forces, my own ability, to the point that I believe I could have defeated him even in his prime. Furthermore, he's in a state right now that I believe is far from the height of his ability. On top of that, this is my chance to atone for the misdeeds of my own people.
But Jin, getting rid of the spirits that's not a true resolution. That's just... You're not solving the problem. You're not solving the conflict between spirits and humans. You're just getting rid of one side so that it's only humans, or so that it's only spirits.
Ash, I do appreciate that idealism, but there's been so much bad blood that both sides need a fresh start.
And I can't stand behind that, Jen. I'm sorry. This entire thing has been too senseless, too ill thought out on either side, but on yours especially. Well, maybe not on yours especially. It sounds like you have a lot of Vizier-like things going for you, which really, I respect that. But I can't agree with them.
Thank you. I mean...
There's too many unknown factors of this plan, Jen. It can all just explode and be over in an instant, and I can't support that.
And, Jin, someone of your stature might not like hearing this, but I've seen in you something that I've come to recognize in myself. When I got here, I was caught up in my own head. And I got to thinking that I had to deal with everything alone. That it was all on my shoulders to figure myself out. But I've come to realize that I can rely on people I care about. And that I...
Damn right.
And thank you, Marcus.
Yeah, and I'd actually like to draw it back to something that you said earlier that we, kind of agreed to. Oh yeah, I totally know the feeling of, being complicit in what my companions are doing, etc., etc. That's not us, Inian points between all of them. We fight whenever we disagree about shit.
We fight, I punch Inian. Now shut up.
Damn right.
Shut up.
I punch
saying
Inian
a thing.
Shut up.
What I'm trying to say here, Jin, is you're not...
This is my inspirational speech. Fuck you.
Fuck you. It was mine first. I started. Shut up. What I'm trying to say is that you're not alone here. We all want peace, Jin. And we're willing to work towards something that we all think is good. We're willing to help you. You can rely on
towards
us.
Something together, but we won't just blindly follow some sort of ultimatum of a plan.
Jin, please. Sit down with us. Let's figure something out. It doesn't have to be so sad as getting rid of the spirits. I swear that this can work out. Humans and spirits can get along.
Ash, I do hear what you're saying. I appreciate the effort you and your friends have gone through for this country, but I'm afraid that this Onorhant tackle ball is already in play. He holds up one hand.
What?
It turns partially translucent. As I said,
What?
I'm more than capable of producing duplicates. The real me has been in Jinkala for the past 45 minutes.
What? Jin, no!
Then what was the point of all this?
To ideally secure help for the upcoming fight.
Oh my god.
No, Jin! Stop whatever you're doing in Jinkala!
I've got to hand it to you, Jin. From one vizier to another, that's a pretty impressive play. Put her there. I hold out my hand.
Jin stares Marcus dead in the eyes. To tell you the truth, I've always sensed a similar soul within you that I feel within mine. It's a shame that we had to meet schemer to schemer, and rather, friend to friend. I hope in the future that we can be closer than this. He reaches down and very carefully and calmly shakes your hand, his entire body glowing with pride that his plan has gone so spectacularly.
It's too bad we couldn't meet under different circumstances. I activate the iconoclasm spell embedded within my palm.
Magic rips to life, one of the great dark magics, tearing its way out of your flesh and into Jin's skin.
Ash, it's okay if you hit me for this.
It immediately rips into Jin's form, annihilating him at the very core level. Marcus, a lot of your hand vanishes with the spell. However, you feel your demon soul bubbling, roaring to the surface and replacing anything that's lost. Jin's body begins to disintegrate away to infinity. Suddenly he looks panicked, shocked. So you did have one plan left after all. It's a shame. As I said before, this is simply a duplicate. The disintegration begins to worm away, eating more and more up his arm towards his core. Wait, do you have the scroll for this?
I hold out a detailed research scroll on the spell.
He leans over right next to you and reads it along with you. Well, fuck me.
Right?
He feels the iconoclasm spell sink to his wisp, jump across space itself, and begin to destroy his real body. Simultaneously, all of his various creatures of light begin to detonate, causing chaos outside the fort. You hear a rumbling sound.
I shake my head sadly. I'm sorry it had to come to this.
His faraway army, a shell force, begins to fall apart, only the masks made out of true material falling to the ground. The confused Gold Clan and Marcus Volafi's conga line for peace simply look around at the very few remaining ban.
I take a step back in horror from Marcus, and then my eyes go wide and I turn to the disappearing Jin. I rush forward and grab his vanishing shoulder. Did you break the seal yet?
Jin looks at you with a pained expression. He vanishes into motes of light.
With a strange mixture of anger, panic, confusion, regret, betrayal, and a variety of other emotions, I turn to Marcus and then Inian. We need to get to Jinkala now.
Marcus nods.
I bolt past them, shouldering past Marcus, and out the door.